Hello, and thank you for joining this special report. You're watching News 12. I'm Ray Mundy. We're just moments away from history in the making as South Carolina is set to remove the Confederate flag from the State House. The flag has been flying there for more than half a century. All of this comes after the state's governor, Nikki Haley, signed legislation to remove the rebel flag yesterday. We're going to take you out, as you see there, to this morning's ceremony where the Honor Guard and the state's Highway Patrol is removing the flag. To give you some background and history about the Confederate flag, it's been flown in the grounds there for some 54 years, and Governor Nikki Haley signed that legislation yesterday after it passed in both the House and Senate in South Carolina. Of course, as you could imagine, there was opposition to the flag, and it grew more after 9 people were killed, including a state senator, at a historic black church in Charleston last month. That suspect in that case, Dylan Storm Roof, was depicted in some photos posing with the flag as a sign of hatred. Now, we do know for today's ceremony, an Honor Guard and the South Carolina Highway Patrol will be the entities that will be taking down this flag. A very short ceremony with a small crowd, we thought, but it seems like that crowd is growing larger and larger, as you could see those live pictures here from outside the State House. As we've been reporting all week here, particularly over the last 48 hours, there was very emotional and heated debate happening there at the State House on both sides of the aisle about this Confederate flag. Many thought it was a sign of racism and hatred. Others who supported the Confederate flag remaining there thought it was a sign of heritage and culture that represented the South, particularly South Carolina. Again, we're looking at live pictures you see right there outside the State House, where in just moments we do know that the Confederate flag, after flying for more than 54 years at the Capitol, will finally be removed. The flag spent its final hours surrounded by ropes and barricades, and we do understand from reporters down there that Governor Nikki Haley went out to the state capitol 2 hours before the ceremony happened just to check to see what was going on. As you could imagine, there's also a great security concern over in that area, police wanting to make sure that nothing happens in terms of violence, with a lot of protesters and a lot of emotions hanging around this particular ceremony. We are just moments away from that flag being taken down. We have also learned more information about where the flag will go after it will be taken down. We understand that it will be removed to a particular museum in the South Carolina area. Again, it's been more than almost half a century since this flag has been flying up there at the state capitol. We understand the flag will be transferred to the state's relic room. Both the House and Senate in North Carolina passed this legislation before it was signed by Governor Nikki Haley. Again, we are just waiting for the moments when this flag will be taken down. We initially first got reports that there was only going to be a limited amount of people out there outside the state capitol for this ceremony. We do know state officials wanted to keep it very quiet, but as you could see from those live pictures, within the last 2 hours, the number of people watching and viewing this ceremony has risen heavily. As you could see, there are many people there actually forming a square around. We do see now Governor Nikki Haley is coming out. She's kind of greeting all the state legislators who are there. Again, very emotional testimony from both sides of the aisle. Many of these people worked with former state senator Clementa Pinckney, who was also the pastor there at the church when this awful massacre happened. Again, we do know state officials are really wanting to try to keep this quiet. This ceremony, of course, honoring those victims, those 9 people who were killed in that awful tragedy that happened inside that church. The governor just spent over 5 minutes looking over the crowd beforehand, and people were taking pictures, as you could see right there. A huge crowd gathered here as we wait for the Confederate flag to be taken down. We do know the group that is standing near the flag with their hands behind their backs. Some of the honor guards will be wearing white flags, or white gloves, I should say, when this flag comes down. The flag has flown either on the State House dome or ground since the Civil Rights Movement. It is being brought down after 9 black church members were killed during a shooting last month. The leader of the South Carolina chapter of the Sons of Confederate Veterans says he's not going to be at the ceremony to take down the rebel flag because he honors the memories of his 7 ancestors who fought for the South back in the Civil War. There's one particular state senator, as many of you might have seen watching the news, who just gave such emotional testimony after she was one of many state lawmakers who attended that ceremony that took place for the 9 victims, including the former state senator who was unfortunately killed. Again, you're looking at live pictures from the South Carolina State House in the capital of Columbia, South Carolina, where, as you could see, swarms of people have gathered for this very moment, the moment where the Confederate flag, which has been flying for more than 54 years, is set to be taken down. As you could see, there's protesters on both sides of the aisle. You see there Governor Nikki Haley. She's the woman right there in the center of your screen, dressed in white, as they all, state lawmakers I should say, all wait for this removal process to begin. As you can imagine, it's a very emotional time there for those people who were lost, for people who were opposed to the Confederate flag. We understand there have been boycotts that have been going on for more than 10 years, as many people were in opposition to this flag, but there's also many people who support it. You could see the color guard coming in, marching into the area. Let's just take a moment to pause and listen to what's going on. All right, there you have it. Members of the South Carolina Highway Patrol, in less than 30 seconds, taking down the Confederate flag from the state capitol there in Columbia, South Carolina. A strong moment of symbolism happening right there on your screen. The flag was then folded, and we understand it will be returned to a relic room where it will be in place there. We do know there was a large crowd there, gathered there in South Carolina, as you heard both cheers and jeers for that flag coming down. A historic moment for South Carolina and, of course, for the country after that Confederate flag has been taken down. We do know the governor signed into legislation yesterday after the House passed for the removal of the state flag. We do know Governor Nikki Haley was joined there by victims of the 9 people who were killed in that church massacre that happened last month. Again, we do know the flag was taken down. Stick here with News 12 online and on air for the latest developments of this story.